Just so we're the continuation. Do you have the time?
15:15.
So it's 3:15. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I guess I'm gonna trek on.
Be safe, brother. Thank you for your kind words.
Man, good luck, okay?
Thanks.
Good luck with the roller coaster.
I'll be good, brother. Be safe.
You too.
Thank you for the kind words. Irish. Okay.
Curious, as in more can't choose and let that be no change until 18 or
I'm gonna interrupt. I'm happy to engage with you. I'm hard of hearing, and you got the mask. Can you just speak up a little? I won't think you're yelling at me.
Oh, okay, sure.
Please.
So your point of view, curious, is it more until they turn 18?
Yes. So
on the same side.
Perfect. So just to be clear, I do have some issues with trans stuff. I do push back on it. I don't like the affirmation of something that I do think is a mental illness. I don't think it does any good. That said, they're adults.
Right.
They can make that choice for themselves. But I will push back on it. I don't think it's a healthy thing for them, but it's their choice. I don't think that children should be able to consent to those sort of things. Okay, fuck you too. Go away. Go away. I'm engaging with this wonderful man. Go away. Yes, go away.
Trans kids aren't going to go away.
No.
Okay.
You can't do about it. You can't do about it. You can't arrest them.
No, he's not against the idea. He's saying like no change until 18.
Yeah, you have no interest. You have no interest in knowing what my sign is. You're just angry. So go away. So basically, I think that it's an issue where they're able to consume, do the medical procedures. Fuck off.
Right.
You're a bigot.
Kind of like
No, you're against.
what's the word I'm looking
You're
for?
bigoted against an idea. So
like
go away.
kind of like
Why would you give me a Hitler salute, you Nazi?
Wait, hold on.
Why would you give me a Hitler salute, you Nazi? Go away.
That confuses the
Go
hell
to the
out
side,
of me.
please.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So yeah, no, it's more
you're very
like
polite. I'm happy to engage.
Yeah,
with
no,
you.
I'm actually on your side to begin with. I'm just here because I didn't know this was happening.
Of course.
But yeah, so more kind of like plastic surgery, same thing. It's just like you need to be an adult before you can consent.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
I agree.
Cross-sex hormones, I don't think should be taken until they're 18. What I've been saying about the hormone blockers is that I kind of understand where that one's coming from, and if
Right.
they have long-term studies on the health effects of it, I'd be
Right.
okay with that, because that one at least has a somewhat of a moral argument behind it, which is like, listen, you can't make a decision when you're a child, so we can pause your development, and then you can make a decision when you're an adult.
Right.
If they've done long-term studies that show that there's really no health effects from that, or reasonable, well-known ones, then who am I?
Yeah.
Right? Let them do it, because it's really not having a serious impact on them.
Right.
But until we've done those studies, and there's no reason why a child should be taking cross-sex hormones
Right.
or having any sort of surgery or anything of that.
So they're allowed to have the conversation, but until no physical things done.
Yes, and
Until-
and
yeah.
understand that my position on that is we shouldn't be affirming transgender. We should be telling them that, like, no, you really should be pushing against this. It's not healthy to embrace it. But that's my opinion.
Yeah,
That's not,
I'm fine with that.
and that's not what the
Yeah.
sign is about, right? The sign is
Right.
about the kids' gender. Yeah.
I'm with that. Yeah.
Do you two have any questions?
Yeah. Conversation I guess a lot of people don't want to have. Huh?
Well, and you know what the funny thing is that that's the whole reason why I'm doing this.
Right.
Is that, yes, I believe in this. Yes, I'm holding this because I believe in it.
Right.
But that's not that's like the one layer, and then the layer below that is I'm a free speech protester.
Right.
I do stuff like this all over Ontario. The main one I hold is a sign that says "fuck the police." Okay, and I do that to ensure that we have the right to do so in public. To make
Right.
sure that
No.
citizens don't attack me, that the cops don't arrest me because I've made people upset.
Right.
Stuff like that. And that's why especially the fuck the police one is so important. Because
Yeah.
if we don't have the right to criticize the police, which are the enforcers of the state,
They'll just do whatever the hell they
can
want
we-
anyway.
who can we criticize, right?
I remember there was.
I'm
one
sorry,
guy-
miss. I'm hard of hearing.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Please.
So I remember one guy who was doing the exact same thing, right? And some guy's like, "Well, you're a piece of shit." He's like, "Well, can kids consent to having sex?"
Yep.
No. Can kids consent to this, this, and this? No. So why can they consent to having surgeries
And then they turn
that
to-
are permanent?
They turn to emotional blackmail. They go, if you don't let them do it, they'll kill themselves. And I go,
then why don't you put your kid in therapy for that concern?
and I go, you know what? I don't accept that from my girlfriend. I don't accept it from any member of my family. That you do what I want, otherwise I'll kill myself. Sorry, no, that don't fly.
Yeah.
Straight up. And that's the only real argument that I hear from them is, if you don't let me do it, I'll kill myself.
That
I'm
brings
sorry.
up a whole other argument of mental illness. So.
And that's where I'm at, where I think that when you... So there were some initial studies that showed that the transitioning did have some serious positive effects. But then they went back and they looked at the same data.
Right.
And the problem is, and I'll be clear about this because I can see, especially with the sign, you guys will want to look this up. Don't worry, I don't care. So there's a very famous Swedish study. And everybody knows the first study, where it said that there was a large decrease in suicidality and whatnot for trans people who had gender affirming care. Then they went back 10 years later or 15 years later and they looked at it, and all the people that aged, the suicide rate was the same. It was the same as it was. And what it was is that when you first transitioned, you looked the best. You had the least amount of complications with your surgery. You felt the best because you just had that transition. And then as you get older, and this will sound disrespectful, I don't mean it like that. You're not a man. So as you age, or you're not a woman, as you age, your body looks way different than an older man or an older woman. Your
something
bones
in
are
between,
different.
basically.
Yeah, exactly. And you look off. And I don't mean to be disrespectful to them, but I think that's a major reason why you see that I'm happy, oh my God, I'm really, really unhappy. And I think that has a major part to it. And it doesn't really fix anything in my opinion. So but
No,
that's
you're allowed to have your opinion, absolutely.
and,
Actually, gonna do it.
and thank you. Awesome. And that's exactly what the whole point is to get people to recognize very clearly, like, I don't like that. Too bad. There's a lot of stuff I don't fucking like in society.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, my daughter and I had this conversation. She's 8. And
Sorry, she's 8?
She's 8.
Okay, sorry.
No, it's okay. And her
I have a
friend-
disability, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Her friend came to school very upset, right? In the simplest terms, her friend's cousin was transgender. And that's a lot for an 8-year-old to process. My daughter simply said, your cousin's a caterpillar who's turned into a butterfly. Right? And I asked her, what does that mean to her? She's like, he's just changing how he looks. Right? I'm like, well, what do you think you are? She's like, no, I'm a girl. I'm like, and you could be a girl. And because that's who you are. Biologically, she's born a girl. Right? And I'm like, you don't have to feel you have to fit into a certain box because it's around you.
Yes. So one of the more important conversations that I had was I did this same protest last year for the same sort of thing in Collingwood. and I had a very, very wonderful discussion with a very young trans man. They went by they, so I'll try to call them they. And I was a very important point I made to them, which is that they were talking about how they never really felt feminine. They didn't feel like a woman. And I said to them, I said, why couldn't you just be a tomboy? And I was just like, why? And I said, I'm not being like anti-trans or anything. I said, but why is that not an option? Why is being a masculine woman not an option? Why does that make you feel that you need to transition to being a man? There's tomboys have always existed, and feminine men as well, and feminine boys. And you know what? They can, you know, we need ballerina dancers and stuff, right?
Right.
That was a joke. I'm just, you know.
Right.
No.
You know,
So what does that really
I'm sure there's
entail,
feminine men that
needing
are
to change
carpenters and
everything?
concrete workers and stuff too, right?
Very feminine.
There you go,
I'm
right?
very much like cars and
Exactly, right? And I got no problem with that. And that's kind of my point is that I think that there's a lot of people who don't see any harm in accepting the emotional blackmail that goes on with this and going, well, I don't want them to hurt themselves, so I'll accept it. That's a slippery slope, and it really
Right.
truly is. And that's where I'm going, you know, if somebody has, I know it's not the same, but somebody has Napoleon syndrome and they're telling you you're Napoleon, you don't give them a tri-corner hat and a little uniform and start saluting them and calling them Napoleon. You go, buddy, you're ill. Like, go see a doctor and get some therapy and some medication and shit.
You know, I've always been very tomboy. I'm the only girl out of 3 brothers.
Exactly.
I've always worn bigger clothes.
And that's environment right there.
And like, in society's like, well, you're a trans, like, no, I'm a girl. Like, 100%.
Right.
I feel a girl. I just like my normal, traditional girl.
I was watching a really controversial documentary last night. I'm pretty sure you know which one I'm talking about. And it's called What is a Woman? And it's all it's on Twitter right now, and it's free, so you should watch it if you haven't seen it.
I think I've seen a bit of it, yeah.
But there's what was the point I was getting at? There was one lady, she's like, yeah, there are people who are gender dysphoric. They've been having since they was 5, and there's very strong feelings all the way stuck on the corner.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, those are people who legitimately have gender dysphoria. It exists. But there is a whole level of social, I struggle at pronouncing this word, contagion? Where it's kind of like how much when we were younger did we hear about, I'm happy to engage with you.
Oh, I just have a quick question.
Let me finish the sentence and I'll be right with you. So a lot of when we were younger, I don't know how old you are, but you're younger than I am, but there was a lot of bulimia and anorexia. There was a lot of cutting. You don't see a lot of that anymore. You don't see a lot of bulimia or anorexia anymore. Those are they've done studies on them, and there's a social aspect to that. There's a lot of social contagion. That's your word. Now, your question, please.
So, I mean, like, if trans kids can't consent, then why the fuck is my trans girlfriend so good at sex?
Well, by saying that, you'd imply that she's a kid, which makes you a pedophile. Would you like to take that back?
I'd rather be a pedophile than in your position, my friend.
His whole point is that
You're a
don't change anything.
disgusting human being who just advocated for pedophilia.
You're the one who's showing up to a pride parade.
You just
saying trans
advocated
people
for
can't
pedophilia.
consent. Did I?
Yes. Would you like to take that back? That you'd rather have sex with a kid?
You can't call me really transphobic.
Would you like to take back that you'd rather have sex with a kid than hold a sign?
Well, I mean, I'm 17, so if I have sex with my 17-year-old
then that's
partner,
acceptable. That's acceptable. Now, those are Romeo and
I
Juliet
thought we
laws.
couldn't consent.
Romeo and Juliet laws are different.
Well, no, you said that we can't consent.
You can't consent to life-altering medical procedures.
Well,
Yes.
then, if you're just saying consent flat out, that's like really broad.
The implication of trans kids would imply that I'm referring to gender-affirming kids,
Well,
especially
no,
given where I'm
Your
protesting.
sign flat out implies that like they can't consent at all.
Correct. I don't think that children can consent to medical procedures involving gender affirmation.
Okay, but they can consent to other procedures?
What procedures? Are we talking dental work? Sure.
No, surgeries and shit. If a guardian isn't present, or if you're at least 16, then you're able to consent.
So if they're 16, medical may be considered an adult. If they're 16 and we consider that to be an adult for all medical care, then sure. But the issue is that you're going, well, the parent can consent to it. No, I don't think the parent can consent to this sort of care.
It doesn't have to do with the parent. The parent, if you're 16 or older.
Okay, I don't think kids should be able to consent to it, period.
Well, they can, so saying they can't consent isn't exactly true.
So understand that I'm advocating for a change in that policy.
Well, you don't really make that clear. You're just making a statement. That sign is a statement.
Correct.
Not advocating for change. So it seems...
But when you come and you talk to me, I'm explaining my position and what I'm doing. So by doing so, I'm advocating.
Okay.
Do you gentlemen have any questions? I'm happy to engage with you politely.
Just listening.
Please, I encourage you to. Please. I was really enjoying this conversation.
Actually have a conversation with him. He's not being rude about his points. He's not being like mean.
Oh no, I'm not trying to get into fun. I'm just genuinely curious as to why dick tastes so good.
Probably because you're a homosexual.
That could be true. That could be true.
For what it's worth, I'm.
There are little kids, and that's on a conversation. He's not talking loud enough for little kids to hear that, and
No, I'm making sure no little kids hear me.
And for what it's worth, I'm.
I just walked past
And
you,
for what
like,
it's worth, I'm very pro LGB. Nothing I've said is homophobic or in the slightest.
I haven't heard you say anything homophobic.
And in fact, as I said to this gentleman here, I'm okay with adult trans people.
Yeah, the
You know,
literal
well, I just
point
feel
is,
like
just leave it until
you're.
you're an adult.
Yeah.
You're allowed to have the conversation. You're allowed to think it.
Yeah.
You're allowed to talk about it. Nothing wrong with that.
Open
Just
discourse is
can't
very
make
important.
Yeah. So it's like, of course, you can
Yeah.
talk about it. Let it. Be
I
spoken
just.
on.
What
He's
I
not
just.
saying send your kids to conversion therapy.
No.
No, I'm just trying to point out that it feels like you're going to be almost inviting conflict with a very broad statement.
Yes.
It's kind of the point.
Yes. So let me
inviting
highlight this
debate.
because you missed the beginning of this and
Okay.
you're missing something important.
Okay.
So I'm a free speech advocate
Understood.
at its core. So this is one level above what I really do as a whole.
understand.
I protest all over Ontario. I hold different signs, not specifically pride or trans related. Like I hold one that says "fuck the police" at big, letters. The point behind this is to invite that sort of conflict, to engage in discussions about what the sign is about and whatnot, to ensure that people like this gentleman here behind you understands that people, just because you don't like what they have to say, have the right to do so and hold that sign in a public square.
Well, I could disagree with you entirely, but also, you still are allowed to say what you
High
have to
five.
say.
Awesome.
No,
Love it. Thank you. Love it. That right there, that's what it's all
Free
about.
speech is
Attaboy.
important.
That's what it's all about. That's what I'm really trying to do here.
Yeah.
Even though I agree with this, and obviously I hold that standpoint and that view, but that's really what it's about, is that there's too many people in this world that think that, oh, I don't like that. That's hateful. That's mean. That means that you can't have that sign in public.
The worst
Sorry,
part
man.
is both the left and the right side of politics both do that a lot.
Yes, and I'll happily
Everyone's doing it.
and I'll happily push back on the right.
No,
just
it
as
makes
well.
sense. I consider myself to be on the political left.
Sorry.
I consider myself to be on the political left, but I'll still protest when the political left are trying to say, no, you can't have your free speech because we disagree with what you're saying.
Right.
Which is frustrating because then I'm deemed an enemy of the left and an enemy of the right, so you can't really fit in anywhere politically.
Now, one of the main issues that I have, and I'm going to add on to your point, not
Yeah.
take away, is that one of the things that I see constantly from both sides is that they advocate for policies which their enemies can use against them. So things like the left going, no, you can't have that speech. We're going to use force against you in order to remove that from society.
Yeah.
You might lose that battle because now the right wing is going to start using violence against you in the same manner, right? Where I, for example, I don't want to have any violence. I don't want to have anybody feel intimidated from speaking their mind. I'm not trying to stop anybody from having the protest or trying to block the parade or anything. Right?
Well, it's
And I'm not saying you're
No,
trying to do that.
My father always taught me that you have your rights, but your rights end where someone else's begins.
For the most part,
So
yes.
I am practically forfeiting my rights if I attack your right to protest. I
Absolutely.
shouldn't be allowed to protest.
Right. By doing that, you're undercutting your own rights because you're
Exactly.
encouraging violence against your speech.
They wouldn't be right.
Yes.
The whole point of free speech is supposed to be
A lot of people have forgotten that freedom of expression in this country, or freedom of speech if you're American, it protects unpopular speech. It protects unpopular speech. It doesn't protect popular speech. Popular speech requires no protection. It's popular.
Now you talk about populism here.
Yes? Right. But freedom of speech protects unpopular speech, not
That
popular.
sounds more like a reform party kind of thing going on.
No, that's just standard freedom of expression.
Let me tell you something. There's cool people. Let me tell you something.
Sir, I just wanted to thank you for being polite. Thank you for being polite, brother. Sorry, I'm gonna sit there.
There you go.
Hey, brother. Sorry. I wanted to thank you for being polite.
Oh no,
Thank
all
you.
good, brother.
Be safe. Sorry.
Very good.
I think it's important to reinforce polite, friendly discourse. I can't hear you, brother. I'm hearing you.
A member of the Reform Party of Canada, or the
I'm-
People's Party of Canada.
Yes. Well, I mean, I guess I casted a vote for him once.
Which one?
PPC?
You fool me.
Okay.
The Progressive Party?
No, the People's Party of Canada. And I live in a very major conservative riding, so for what it's worth, I would
remember.
Well, I would have voted conservative, but the fact is that the PPC, if they reach a certain amount of votes nationally, they get funding. So I was like, conservatives are going to win, so here, take some funding. Because I think there should be free discourse of all political opinions. So if I can get them funding to get their voice out, then
So it's more of like a moderate group then.
sorry.
It's more of like a moderate party, basically.
No, the PPC are very extreme far right.
Are they really?
Absolutely.
Oh, jeez.
Yes. Now they're not. I don't think their views are like when people say extreme far right, they think like fascism or Nazis. And I don't think it's that far. I think it's things like anti-immigration, which I'm pro-immigrant, but I think immigration should be controlled.
Like this country, well, I'm an immigrant myself, obviously, but I've been here since I was like 4. So
I'm very pro-immigrant.
yeah, but I feel like
everybody's
this country
equal.
is kind of pushed a bit too much and just constantly. I get it.
Too fast, too many.
Yeah, we have only 35 million people, so I get it. Like I get why they're pushing it, but I feel like they've kind of gotten rid of the checks and balances at the same time.
So what I always say is that it's not immigration I'm against. It's that I want to have merit-based education or immigration, where it's like I want to see doctors and scientists and managers and engineers and stuff come over. But there's chain migration, which I really am against, where it's like we bring the doctor over and he brings his mom and his dad and his sister and his aunt. And it's like no. I mean, kids and wife and stuff is fine.
Yeah.
But not that. But it's just. One of the major evils that we've seen in society is globalism, moving all the manufacturing jobs overseas. Not that I'm against helping those people or trade.
Yeah, but our economy is already suffering.
Right. The issue is that you have this giant unskilled labor pool, and now it's merged into sales, like retail and service. Manufacturing's gone. Now we have all those people jammed into one edge, and we're still bringing in unskilled labor.
Right.
Still bringing in unskilled labor. And that's what irks me. It isn't that we're bringing in immigrants. Because you want to bring in 1 million doctors, you just get a big thumbs up from me, buddy.
True.
You know what I mean? Like, fucking great. I don't care.
Kind of like the whole things with the Philippines they're doing right now. They were offering doctors and nurses from the Philippines to work in Canada.
Yeah,
Is
sure.
that still happening?
I'm not sure. I'm sure that there's. I'm
yeah.
absolutely sure there's programs like that all over the world where it's like, come to Canada, we'll fucking hire you. And
Yeah.
that's what I mean. I'm all for that. Sure.
Yeah.
I want to see doctors and engineers because they all.
They boost it.
Well, there's a lot of ignorant people who don't realize that just because one person comes over and takes my job doesn't mean that they don't create additional demand.
Right.
So that means that I may lose my job in the bed factory, but I'll get hired in the mattress factory because you're going to buy a mattress.
Yeah.
Right? So it's called the lump of labor fallacy.
Supply and demand.
Yes. So that's why I'm very pro-immigrant. It's just we got to be careful about what skill set we bring in, not like country or what have you.
Right.
I see it kind of floating. Do you have a question?
I'm curious about your board.
Of course.
I'm just curious.
Sure. Of course. So I don't think that children under the age of 18 are capable of consenting to any sort of medical procedures, cross-sex hormone surgery, or hormone blockers at this point.
And you realize that within Canada it's actually legal for anybody under 18 to consent to any of that, right? I have a son-in-law.
Can you say that one more time? I'm a little hard of hearing.
Child under 18 in Canada
Yes.
cannot consent to any of this.
But their parents can.
The parent can.
Yes,
But, okay.
and I'm against that. The reason being is that I don't think that the child should be able to have their parents consent to something that would be so drastic for them for the rest of their life.
Okay.
Especially when it's something that they can likely wait until they're 18.
When I have a son-in-law,
Yes.
at my time he was 12,
Yes.
knew he was transgender.
Then why can't they wait until they're 18?
So he did, and in Canada it is the law,
Yes.
and that he had to go through 9 years of counseling
Good.
before he was given a letter from a counselor that could be taken to a doctor that
Yes.
could then send him on to the proper people
Good.
and that. But
I'm
that's
not-
the way it has to go within Canada. I can't turn around and suddenly say to my 15-year-old daughter, "Oh, you think you want to be trans? Okay, well, come on, let's go." It doesn't work that way for them here in Canada.
So we're in agreement then.
And that-
You think it should stay like that?
And I do, and that.
Great, then we have
and
common
that's
ground.
the way it should stay. Yes,
Good.
I agree.
There is a lot
But
of.
the way your sign comes across, you come across that you're putting it out there that you don't think any trans people.
No, the kids in that would imply that I would prefer 18 below.
Almost gets way my son-in-law read this is that you're basically putting it out there that they're allowing this to happen.
So there is absolutely people advocating for this on a regular basis to try to get it to happen. Abso-freaking-lutely. It's happened dozens of times to me today alone. And that's why it's important to push back on it. Though I'm sorry, but kids can't consent. I don't think parents should be able to consent with this. I'm all for them getting counseling and any sort of therapy and help that they need. I've told them that I'm okay with hormone blockers as long as there is substantial long-term studies to it, showing no harm, no real side effects and stuff like that. Because that makes sense, a moral argument of, well, we can pause it and then you can make a decision when you're an adult. I'm okay with that if there's no side effects. But It sounds like we have common ground in that you don't think kids can consent.
I don't think a child in that. No, I don't think a young child in that. I don't know. To me, your sign comes across just. As I say,
No.
It's supposed to more like start the conversation.
yeah, it's just, yeah. No, I think the worst of it is unfortunately, I think your sign's just getting a lot of hackles.
Yeah, which is fine. So understand. First of all, Miss.
Yes.
Okay, I want to make sure
Yeah,
you've
no,
been
I am
respectful.
straight.
So,
I'm as straight as
hey,
they come. I have been married. I have
you
children.
said, thank you for being
Do you
polite.
have a website?
I can give you my
No,
YouTube
it's
if you
okay.
like.
Yeah, sure.
Please, would you mind if I give it to him? He's to my YouTube.
yeah.
Please, you've been very polite. I'm happy to engage with you. If you go to YouTube, I'll give you the channel name.
Okay, ready.
Ranger like the military unit.
Yep.
I'm going to spell this phonetically for you.
Thank you.
John Apple Hotel Uniform.
Perfect.
John Apple Hotel Uniform. And you'll see my big ugly mug.
Oh, whoops. John Apple. Oh, sorry.
Ranger like the military unit.
Yep.
John Apple Hotel Uniform. Sorry.
Perfect. Is it actually spelled Ranger and then phonetical?
Yes.
Okay.
And there's no space.
Perfect. So one more time, just to make sure I got it right.
Ranger John Apple Hotel Uniform.
Nope, that's a you.
Sorry, miss. Blame it on him.
Yeah, you can.
Mine is your fault.